Welcome to another taping of Our Schools. I'm extremely excited for this segment. We have with us some very important and special guests on the panel today. Dr. Gregory McCord, Chief Auxiliary Officer for the Beaufort County School District. Carrie Mayo, who is our new, and by new I mean very new, Director of Transportation. And Maurice Brown, who is one of our school bus drivers. Our community may have read that we have brought buses back in-house. We're bringing our bus drivers back home. So Dr. McCord, give us an idea of what it took to bring back our school buses.
Well, Dr. Moss, first I'll tell you it took a lot of patience. It took a lot of patience on the part of our school board, as well as patience with our incoming driving staff. We had several large mass meetings with our bus drivers, and we found that some of the things that we thought we knew, we did not know. We went back and we corrected and made the revisions needed so that we could all be on one accord, and so far it's been a great beginning.
And you mentioned our town hall meetings. Some of those were a little contentious, but I believe what we learned from each one of those, and Maurice, you may be able to speak to this, is that there were some legitimate concerns that the drivers had and some fear, if I'm not mistaken, on what this transition would look like. Maurice, how did the drivers view this kind of transition?
I think most of the drivers were on the side of most of not knowing, and anyone who has the fear of not knowing something and transitioning from something new, you know, that's a human thing. So, but once the transition began and we got to meet people face to face in the district, it's been a pretty smooth transition so far.
And give us an idea, Maurice, how long have you been driving and what motivates you to drive? It is truly a special talent and takes a lot of patience. And I say all the time that your face is the first face our kids see in the morning. It's the last one they see in the evening. You set the mood, the tone for the school day and for their evening at home. So how long have you been driving and what sort of motivated you to get into driving?
I've been driving now for 19 years. I actually started driving when I was a senior in high school. And at first it was just supposed to be something for me to, to do. But the field that I chose to be in, I love dealing with kids. And I try to treat every child that I come encounter with as one of my own children. And every day I honestly can come to work with a smile on my face because I deal with a joy and a passion of driving a school bus. And I know that I'm doing my job, that the majority of kids who are coming to get an education, I'm bringing that child to school to get that. And that makes me feel good.
I bet. Now, Carrie, you're new to the Director of Transportation position, but you're not really new to Beaufort County.
No, so about 5 years ago, I was the Director of Transportation for another company called First Student. And I did that for about 3 years, Dr. Moss, and from there I went to Savannah and did Chatham County Schools as well, but glad to be back home.
In all of this transition, obviously there were a ton of decisions to be made and probably some nervous times on hiring staff and ensuring that we had our buses lined up. So give us an idea of what you've been doing the last 6 or 8 weeks.
So really from the first week was hiring my staff, getting them on board, that was critical. And then from there, the staff that I did hire, working with our HR department and getting all of our drivers, technicians, monitors, all of those folks orientated and getting everything processed so they'll be ready to go on August the 15th.
And are we ready?
We are absolutely ready.
Okay. Gregory, when we look at what we're trying to hire for drivers, what are some of the characteristics or quality traits that you want to see in our drivers as they're picking up our kids every day?
Well, first we want to make sure we're hiring candidates that care about students, care about themselves, care about the county of Beaufort. That's the first quality. We also would like to find the quality of punctuality. We want individuals that can be on time, without delay, without excuses. On time for a bus driver, as you know, is different than on time for regular society, because they are required to be present at about 5:15, 5:30, and so we need them there bright and early. Next, we would like to have candidates with good, clean driving records. That's going to be very important, because as they are transporting our most valuable commodities, we want them to have good, clean driving records, and we can ensure our community that we know this is taking place because we run the background checks, and we're only going to hire people that fall into the categories that I just mentioned.
Now, Maurice, you and I have something in common. I actually was a school bus driver as a senior in high school a long time ago, more than 19 years ago. But, and that's when our buses were all straight drive, no air conditioning.
Right.
And I don't know, we might still have some of those buses in our fleet here in South Carolina. But tell me, what have you seen as the changes that have occurred in the 19 years you've been driving? I know it probably was much different, whether it's students, discipline, support, cooperation. What do you see as some of the bigger changes that have occurred over the 19 years?
The most changes I've seen, of course, back then the students are a whole nother story from what we have today, but as being the professionals that we are in the industry that we service, we learn to adapt and we learn to make the proper changes. And as far as the fleet, yes, the fleet that we're given is pretty aged, but hopefully one day, that will be brought up to speed. And thanks to Beaufort County, they are bringing us up to speed. But as far as the driving aspect as a whole, not too much has changed. We still enforce safety, safety, safety is our number one priority. Safety, safety, can't say it enough.
Right.
But pretty much as far as rules and regulations, nothing is too much jumped way past the fence. It's still in the same parameters of which when I first started driving.
Yeah. Now, Carrie, Maurice mentioned the age of our fleet, and we are trying to do something about it. We've actually made a recent purchase, but give us an idea of how that works so that our parents would understand it's not always Beaufort County's issue, it's also a state issue. There's sort of this partnership that goes along with taking care of our buses.
Right, so Dr. Moss, the state basically owns the home-to-school buses. And so they also do the maintenance on those buses, and they somewhat control those buses and when they get serviced. And so we will work with the bus shop to make sure that we know when they do the services so we can have buses on hand. But on our end, we just purchased 40 new buses. They're in. We are working on putting the radios in and cameras and getting them ready for school start, but they are here, and we'll have them ready to go.
Gregory, Maurice mentioned safety. I've listened to you time and time again talk about safety with our principals. And we've had a couple of occasions where that training's come in handy. So do you want to talk a little bit more about safety and also what Carrie just mentioned, how our cameras play a part in our everyday transportation?
Yes, we are very fortunate here in Beaufort County that we have not had many serious bus incidences in the past, but we are also fortunate in knowing that our staff, they go through the drills and evacuation procedures twice a year to make sure all students know how and what to do in the event of an emergency situation. We have cameras installed on each of our buses. We have 3 cameras. We like to check those cameras as routinely as possible to ensure that they are working in a manner consistent with what we are expecting, so that if and when we need to recapture what happens or what happened leading up to an incident, we can have that authenticity prepared and readily available for us to review.
Now, as we're getting ready to start picking kids up in a few weeks here, what is the one thing you would like to say from each of your perspectives to our parents, to our community, to our staff on what they can expect this year?
Well, I think they should expect quality service, but we also should expect, in turn, for families to sit and talk with their students about how to properly ride a bus. No jumping and running and shouting and screaming and obstructing the views of the driver. So if they have that conversation, we'll have some conversations about safety, and it'll be a great year.
Kerry, how about from you?
I would say on my end, the most dangerous time for our students is the loading and unloading process. That's at the school and at the bus stop as well. So one of the things is when you see the stop sign and the bus is flashing, to make sure we stop, and we stop ahead of time. Again, the most dangerous time is the loading and unloading process. Once they're aboard our bus, things can happen, but that's the most safest time for them. So no matter if you're in the bus loop or at the bus stop, please be aware of that.
From the driver's perspective?
From a driver's perspective, I think for drivers and parents, parents get to know your driver, driver get to know your parents, have that relationship and that common ground that you both have the same goal, safety of your child, getting to and from school so they can get the best education possible.
And I would also like to add respectful behavior. We might not always agree, and Dr. McCord, you're exactly right. If things don't go right, it triggers other conversations. And where we may disagree, we can respectfully disagree. And that's from parents that get a little sensitive sometimes and try to board the bus, which is a no-no.
Right.
And the drivers that get a little sensitive sometimes and want to engage the parents, which is a no-no. So I think if we keep in mind that we're exactly what you stated, we're here for the goal of safe transporting our kids from home to school and back home. We all want that goal to be met each and every day, but we can do it in a respectful manner. So as we're preparing again, we want to remind our parents, our community, when that arm flashes, stop. It's time to stop. And I think, Kerry, that's sort of what you were saying. It's not just what happens at our loading and unloading, but when we're making those bus stops, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. I hope that this is going to be informative to our community. I'm really excited about the possibilities of bringing transportation back in-house, bringing our drivers back home, making them part of us and us part of them. And I know it's going to be a great year under your leadership, Dr. McCord, yours, Kerry, and all of our bus drivers. I can't say enough about how much they mean to our school district. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Beaufort County is constantly changing, and we'll keep you informed. The County Channel, your source for what's happening in Beaufort County. From County Council to the Town of Hilton Head School Board and local events, the County Channel will keep you up to date. For a complete listing of the County Channel schedule, go to bcgov.net, click on the County Channel, and choose your selection. For live coverage of Beaufort County meetings, boards, and commissions, it's the County Channel.
Welcome back, and I am really excited to talk about extended learning. And with us, we have Carmen Dillard, who is our Director of Elementary Education, Kimberly Fields, who is a wonderful teacher here at this school, River Ridge Academy, and Melissa Murray, who looks after all of our English language arts. This year, we decided to try something a little different in June. So what did we try, Carmen?
Well, we decided that we would extend the instruction that was going on during the 2015-16 school year for those students who needed additional support in reading. And so these students had an additional 18 days of instruction during the month of June.
How was this program put together, Melissa? I know you had a hand in helping identify students. Tell us what went into the identification and the process behind the scenes, so to speak.
Our previous year was a great year because we were able to do academic audits of all of our English language arts classrooms from K through 5. And when we discovered that the reading writing workshop model was working really well, and that is part of our literacy plan. We also rewrote the literacy plan last year, and so we got to use the summer as an extension of our literacy plan, which included reading writing workshop. Pervasive across a lot of our schools is the Daily 5, which is the structure for reading writing workshop. So we just got to carry that right over through the 18 days. And what we did was, because the students that were asked to attend are the students that needed a little additional support in reading, and a program that we use in our school year is called Level Literacy Intervention Kits. It goes right along with our plan. And so we got more of those for the schools that needed them. We targeted children, and we trained the other teachers to be using that program as well. So we had extension of reading writing workshop and a strategic intervention to be used. Really great about it too was that there was time for them to do independent reading and writing. We had time embedded in there for teachers to do conferencing with students and take goal set, take notes about where they are. And so as the students come back the next year, we're going to have some great anecdotal notes of what work they did, why they were successful, and that extended reading time that they received over the summer.
Great. Now, Kimberly, before I ask you the question, let me thank you, because you are our most valuable asset in the school district.
Thank you.
We could not do anything we're doing without teachers. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being in the classroom.
Welcome.
So give us an idea of what the day looked like for kids in the classroom.
Well, it was all about reading and writing, and so we spent some time with a morning meeting to get to know the children, and the children to get to know each other, because they were coming from, some schools were more than one. So it was an opportunity for the kids to know each other, and for me to know them, because I was teaching at a totally different school. And then we spent a lot of time in small groups of reading, writing, independent reading, lots of different things to motivate them and to get them encouraged for the next coming up school year.
Carmen, so why now? Why this idea? Where did it come from? Why put this in place now for our students?
Well, this came it started with the State Department of Ed wanting or requiring that there be a summer reading camp or program of some sort for all third grade students who were not on reading grade level. We decided as a district to extend this to all first through fifth grade students who needed extra support in reading and in literacy skills. And so as a result of that, we wanted to expand not just for our third grade students, but for all of those elementary students who would need that extra support.
Melissa, we've heard a lot about summer slide. You can hear a lot of different phrases that are associated with the level of learning that is possibly lost over the summer for some of our students. Will this have any effect on that? And was that a part of the discussion when the extended learning was put into action?
Absolutely. So obviously the reason or the cause for summer slide is because students don't practice reading over the summer, unfortunately, in some cases. And so if you don't practice something, obviously you don't do as well. And then when you come back to school and we have high expectations again, there is a little bit of a gap between where you left us and where you start. So now students had a full month of strategic intervention. What we tried to do, and I think was really successful based on the walkthroughs, is to pique students' interest, have books that are at their level, stuff that they want to read, all of that one-on-one time with the teachers to talk about what they're doing. And as our data is coming in, we're seeing some good results this year. Found at the minimum that students aren't experiencing the summer slide, but we're seeing students grow up to 3 levels in a month, which is huge, huge gains. And that is just a whole day of reading. And obviously, I think in that case, that also is a credit to the teachers who've just really tapped into students. If you're growing that much, that means you're practicing at school with them, you're practicing at home. Those teachers probably got books in your hands that really piqued you. You know, you get that one book in your hand and then you're sold as a reader. So it's just the hard job of finding that one book that's going to get you there.
So how many students did we have participate?
We had a total of 1,522 students, and of that number, a good many of them attended for the total of 18 days, 16 to 18 days, about 60% of that group. So we had excellent attendance, and I think, again, that's an attribute that the kids wanted to be there. They could see themselves growing as readers. They were feeling successful. The teachers were developing those relationships with the students, not only as teachers, but also finding out more about what interests them. The students would set weekly learning goals, which included academic and personal goals, and during conferencing time, those could be discussed with the students. So those relationships were also being formed in addition to the ability to be better reader and writers.
And how many teachers did we engage?
We had about 110 teachers throughout
Wow.
the district.
That's a huge commitment, Kimberly, on the part of teachers to give up the entire month of June to come in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And give us a sense of how engaged the students were. Because obviously, engagement of students is probably one of the most challenging aspects of having kids in the classroom during the regular year. I can only imagine how challenging it was in June.
I think, too, the attendance proved that we were doing what we needed to do for children in the classroom, because for the most part, most of my children were there almost every day for 18 days. It allowed us to know them, and I think they already have the strategies that they needed. They just needed fine-tune them during that time, and that's what we did those 18 days. And we tried to make it as fun as possible. You had brain breaks in the middle there to just kind of give them that, we know you're on summer vacation, but we're glad that you're here. So that encouragement of keeping them coming was always the forefront for us as well.
How did the parents respond? Have we had any feedback or any insight from how the parents have viewed our extended learning?
I've heard a couple of situations where there were some that really were not all that happy about, having extra time in the summer for their students to attend schools, but the kids would come home excited, and I think they saw the kids growing. And on the very last day of summer reading, we had a celebration of learning so that parents came to each school and got to see what the kids were doing, got to see what their day might look like. And I saw kids reading to their parents during that time.
Wow.
We had one school that did a literacy luau, and we made it as fun and as engaging, not only for the students, but for the parents as well, so that we could truly celebrate their success.
Kimberly, how about from the parents that you would meet or greet daily?
We had quite a few parents that would come in during the day to visit as well, but I think the celebration really tied everything together, and I had parents to say they were more excited about these 18 days of coming to school, and we've gotten them ready, and we can see them, continue to do well coming in the next school year. So that was good to hear. Very good to hear.
Melissa, you've mentioned a little bit that our preliminary data looks very hopeful. So from the anecdotal information and from the excitement, engagement that you may have witnessed from our kids, is this something that we should definitely continue in the future?
Absolutely. I think the structure of it this summer made a big difference. We obviously had great teachers this summer, which makes a big difference. The continuation of the school year, the timing of it, we've done this a couple of years. This year I do think was fine-tuned really well, and there's a lot of good to build on for next year.
And of course, obviously, Carmen, it was a little bit more overwhelming from just having third grade to first through fifth grade,
yes,
right?
Yes, but I have to say it was worth every bit of it. And again, as Melissa mentioned, we would go and visit schools, which was always fun, and walk through classrooms, and just to see the smiles and the teachers that were excited that they were there, and the kids were excited that was worth every bit of it.
Students reading and writing all over the room,
yes,
with the teacher in front of them, independently at their desks, talking to us about what they're reading and writing. It was really nice to see. We would come back and debrief, Carmen and I, and both be thrilled with the visits,
yes,
which is a great, great feeling.
Now, Kimberly, obviously we cannot do this without teachers. So do you think there will always be that group of teachers that will be able to teach extended school year? Because We understand family situations. We understand really needing a break every so often. But how do you feel teachers will view this extended learning?
Well, this is my second year doing extended reading, and I do it because I know that's what's good for children, and not just the children in my own classroom, but for Beaufort County kids. And so I can see teachers wanting to do it again. It's a great time too to fine-tune my own teaching. You know, something that might have worked in my classroom, this would be a great time to see if it was work with another group of children. So that's exactly what I did, and I think teachers enjoy it. You know, we get to be with teachers from other part of the district too that we don't normally get to see on an everyday basis.
So as we're getting ready to close this out, what's the one thing you would want to tell parents about reading? It doesn't have to be about the extended learning program, but just about reading and how important it is.
Anytime, anywhere, any place, wherever you have that opportunity to either read to your child or listen to your child read to you, or just develop those opportunities to have that love for reading. It opens all doors. It really does.
Ditto. No, but no, it's a great, and reading and writing, they go hand in hand. So I always encourage to carry that journal with you and to read and to write wherever you go.
And reading should be a joy. So let your children read what interests them, read things for fun. If you want a strategy, come talk to your teacher. We have great things to do with those children, but really just let them enjoy it and don't put too much pressure. Make it a fun time at the end of each day, something that everyone looks forward to in your household.
And I think as a district, one of our overarching goals is to ensure every child is reading at grade level. We hope by third grade, definitely by the time they graduate. And what you just said, Melissa, it's important to know that it doesn't always have to be the text from a classroom. It can be Sports Illustrated. It can be whatever they enjoy reading. So families, help us, partner with us, engage your children in reading, help them to understand why it is so important. And if you need to speak with us, please do. Thank you for allowing us to teach your children.
Hey, what'd you get me?
Just what you need, a diet soda.
Cute. Remember, we gotta take these bottles and cans home to the recycling bin.
That's right. Never throw them away. Let's boogie.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year? The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.